right, first grade friends, now we're on to chapter 8 of Skinnybones. A face full of flakes. Usually when I go to the Little League field for a game, I don't know who's going to play until I get there. I just go to the game and lose and go home. The way I look at it, losing is losing. Who cares who you lose to? A lot of kids don't feel that way though. TJ Stoner is one of them. TJ always knows exactly which team he's going up against. Then, a couple of days before the game, he goes around school announcing how badly the other teams are going to be whipped. Nobody even argues with them because they all know it's true. Anyway, that's why I wasn't surprised when TJ went through the halls bragging about how Franklin Sporting Goods was going to mop the floor with Fran and Ethel's cleaning service. Fran and Ethel's cleaning service. That's the name of my team. Catchy, huh? When I first found out about it, I thought about quitting, but my dad said Fran and Ethel had paid a lot of money to sponsor our team and it wouldn't be fair of everyone if I quit just because of the silly name. So far, I've never even had a team name that sounds as neat and exciting as Franklin Sporting Goods. Last year, my team was Preston's Pest Control. Our team banner had a roach being knocked out by a baseball bat. It was totally humiliating. Anyway, on Friday morning, right after class started, TJ raised his hand and made another public announcement. Tomorrow, everyone, at 10:30 a.m., my Little League team will be playing Alex's team. So I was thinking some of you guys might want to come by the field and watch us play. My stomach turned over. Oh no, he was inviting our entire class to come watch? No way, my team hasn't won a ball game all season and TJ's team was in first place. It was going to be a slaughter. Quickly, I jumped up. Why? I called out. My teacher looked at me strangely. Why what, Alex? Why would anyone want to come to our game? Desperately, I looked around the room. Don't you people have lives of your own? It's just a dumb Little League game. TJ smiled broadly. Well, not exactly. There's something else you guys should probably know. I don't want to brag. Whenever anybody says I don't want to brag, they're about to brag. I don't want to brag, but I'm going to be pitching tomorrow. And if I win the game, I'll set a Little League pitching record for most games won in a row. He paused so that his thrilling information would sink in. It'll put me in the record books, he said. Mrs. Grayson's whole face lit up. Really, TJ? That's terrific. I jumped up and again, books, schmooks, record, schmeckard, I hollered. Mrs. Grayson told me to be quiet. But TJ wouldn't quit. He kept talking about that game all day long. Even after the bell rang and the kids were leaving the room, he stood at the door issuing personal invitations. You're going to be there, right? You're coming, aren't you? Please, don't forget. You're not going to let me down, are you? I tried to duck past him, but he grabbed me by the shirt. And he pulled me right up to his face and said, see you tomorrow, Alexandra. I wrinkled my nose and went, phew. Mackerel for lunch? Your breath is awful. But TJ just laughed. We'll see how funny you are tomorrow when the whole class turns up to watch you lose, loser. He sort of rubbed his hands together and walked away. Man, was I ever in for it now. This was even worse than the pitching contest. If there's one thing worse than losing, it's losing in front of your whole entire class. I've never played in front of a crowd before. With a team like mine, a lot of parents don't even show up. In fact, so far, there are only 2 people that have been at every single game we played this year, Fran and Ethel, of Fran and Ethel's cleaning service. They always come to watch us play right after they get off from work. You can tell who they are because they usually wring out their mops while we're warming up. It wasn't surprising that I couldn't eat any dinner that night, and I didn't sleep at all. Mostly, I just lay in bed thinking about a way to get out of playing. I must have gone through 100 plans before I finally came up with one that I thought might work, but it was pretty extreme. It was my only chance, though. The next morning, I made sure my parents were at the breakfast table. Then I dragged myself into the kitchen on my stomach and slowly pulled myself up to the table. Morning, I said weakly. My father looked down at me. Morning, Alex. Morning, said Mom. What kind of cereal do you want? Feebly, I raised my hand. Cornflakes, please. I'll just have a few cornflakes, I muttered. My mom got up from the table and stepped over to the refrigerator. Juice? She asked. I nodded. What's wrong with these people? Didn't they notice I was lying on the floor? Mom bent down and put a bowl in front of me. You better hurry up and eat. You have to get ready for your game soon. Okay, fine. I didn't know what little game they were playing here, but I could play right along. Leaving the cereal on the floor, I pulled myself up into the chair. I made a big deal about it, grunting and groaning the whole way. I think I'd like to eat up here, I said, trying to catch my breath. Could someone please get me my cornflakes and my juice? My parents glanced down at the floor, at the bowl and the cup. You should have brought it up here with you, son. Your mother and I are eating right now. For the next few seconds, I sat there tapping my fingers on the table. Then, even slower than before, I leaned down until my hands were touching the floor. The chair flipped over on me, and I dropped back down. But my mom and dad did not react. This called for drastic action, something so outrageous that they couldn't ignore it. That's when I started eating that food right out of the bowl. Without a spoon, I mean. Like Fluffy, my cat. That did it. Hey! My mother looked down and dropped the napkin on my head. That did it. Hey, what kind of parents are you anyway? Your pathetic little son is lying on the floor, eating like an animal, and all you can do is drop a napkin on his head? Don't you even want to know what happened to me? We already know, said my mother. You mean you already know that in the middle of the night, I can tell this isn't going to be true, guys. You mean to tell me that in the middle of the night, you know that Fluffy jumped up on my bed and that big oaf went to sleep on my legs, and she cut off the circulation to my entire lower body, which is why my feet and my legs are asleep and I can't stand up? You already know all of that? No, Alex. We know you're trying to get out of your baseball game today. Brian's parents called this morning and said most of your class will be there. So we figured you're pulling some kind of stunt to get to stay home. I rolled over. Oh, after that I just lay there for a really long time, I just lay there staring up at the ceiling. Finally, I rolled back on my stomach again and silently pulled myself back out of the kitchen. Sometimes when you're caught doing something really silly, it's less humiliating if you just ease out of it gracefully. When I got back to my room, I stood up and put on my uniform. My pants fell down again. This was going to be the worst day of my life. You guys have a good weekend. I'll post some more soon.